Your inherited trauma lives in 11 neurofascial bridges between your face and your pelvis. In just a few minutes, you will learn how to locate each of these bridges in your own body and apply precise micromovements that release the energy trapped there for generations. There is a silent network connecting your jaw to your hips, a circuit that automatically closes when ancestral memories of threat are activated. This matters because your breathing, your voice, and your presence all depend on this circuit staying open. When it shuts down, you lose access to both your authentic expression and your vital force at the same time. Close your eyes now and notice. Is there tension in your jaw? Are your sit bones really grounded, or are you holding up your body weight with muscular effort? What you just felt is only the surface of a complex neurofascial system that keeps traumatic patterns active in your tissues. The full explanation of how this circuit works and how to deactivate it bridge by bridge is about to be revealed. Unresolved traumas create specific capture links, points where ancestral energy crystallizes and fragments your ability to be fully present. These links operate like neurofascial gates that automatically shut when inherited threat memories are triggered, splitting you between the person who thinks and the person who feels. When multiple links close in sequence, you lose access to your authentic expression and your vital energy all at once. By the end of this journey, you will have mastered 3 precise skills: locating each of the 11 bridges in your fascial tissue, recognizing which emotion fuels each closure, and applying micro-movements that signal safety to your nervous system so it can voluntarily release its defensive patterns. These are not generic stretches or relaxation techniques. They are neurofascial interventions that act directly on the points where traumatic information gets trapped. The results are measurable. Your breath naturally reaches your pelvis, your jaw softens without conscious effort, and your sit bones ground with the true weight of your body. These changes happen because you are working with the natural intelligence of the fascial tissue, not against it. The traditions that preserved this knowledge understood the body as a communication network, where every fiber carries information, and healing happens when that information flows freely. What they recognized as the central pillar was precisely this system of energetic chambers that connects the ability to receive divine inspiration with the capacity to manifest it into the density of matter. When the gates of this pillar closed due to trauma or threat, the person experienced exactly the kind of fragmentation you feel now: thoughts that never turned into action, emotions with no proper expression, creative impulses that died before being born. This ancestral map finds a direct match in contemporary polyvagal theory. The autonomic nervous system organizes defensive responses in precise hierarchies. It first tries to regulate through the ventral vagal complex, promoting social connection. When that fails, it activates the sympathetic system for fight or flight. As a last resort, it triggers the dorsal vagal complex, generating protective immobilization. Each strategy leaves specific signatures in the fascial tissue, tension patterns that crystallize in the same neuroanatomical points that ancient traditions identified as closed gates. The epigenetics of trauma shows how unresolved experiences alter gene expression, creating somatic predispositions that are passed down through generations. What ancient schools once called ancestral memories now finds direct validation in research on inherited epigenetic markers, information that embeds itself in the tissue without needing to pass through consciousness. Lab and temple converge. Both recognize the body as a living archive where past and present meet in every fiber. This bodily archive is organized into 11 specific neurofascial bridges, where ancestral memories crystallize into measurable patterns of tension. The first bridge is located at the temporomandibular joint, where decades of unspoken words accumulate as rigidity in the masseter muscle. You can feel it when you run your tongue along the inside of your cheek and notice the dense, almost fibrous texture of the tissue. The second bridge sits at the base of the tongue and the floor of the mouth, where the emotion of forced silence forms knots that keep your voice from gaining physical substance. The third bridge is found at the hyoid bone, a small structure that floats in the throat and determines whether your breath can move below the collarbone. The fourth bridge spans the scalene muscles at the thoracic inlet, where the fear of being seen shows up as stiffness that pulls your head forward and compresses the upper ribs. The fifth bridge is located at the sternum and pericardium complex, where the emotions of betrayal or abandonment create a shield around the heart, often felt as heaviness in the chest. The sixth bridge sits at the castal insertions of the diaphragm, where patterns of traumatic breathing leave fascial fibers that prevent a full exhale. You can sense this when your breath cannot fully empty your lungs. The seventh bridge is centered around the solar plexus and xiphoid process, where the loss of personal autonomy appears as chronic contraction that narrows your attention span and reduces your ability to stay present in challenging situations. The eighth bridge is located in the psoas muscle, specifically at the femoral insertion, where memories of basic insecurity create the persistent sensation of walking on eggshells, as if the ground beneath you does not offer stable support. The ninth bridge spans the pelvic floor, where relational traumas manifest as a disconnect between your awareness and your gravitational base of support. The 10th bridge lies in the sacroiliac joints, where the emotion of familial rootlessness creates bony fixations that block the natural movement of pelvic breathing. You notice this when your sit bones cannot fully rest on the seat, staying slightly lifted due to muscular tension. The 11th bridge is located in the deep hip rotators and the gluteus medius, where hypervigilance patterns crystallize as microcontractions that keep you in a defensive state of readiness, even in safe environments. Each bridge carries an emotional and somatic signature that can be identified through simple tests involving pressure, movement, and breath. Release happens through 3 strategic micromovements that act simultaneously on the main bridges, preventing the circuit from closing in a cascading pattern. The first micromovement targets the jaw bridge. Place the index and middle fingers of both hands over the masseter muscles, the thick muscles you can feel when you clench your teeth. Apply gentle pressure toward the center of your head while allowing your jaw to open slightly, just enough to create space between your back molars. Hold this position for 3 full breaths, feeling the tissue soften under your fingers with each exhale. This movement releases the first, second, and third bridges at once, undoing decades of vocal restraint in just a few seconds. The second micro-movement reorganizes the chest and solar plexus complex. Place one hand vertically on the center of your sternum and the other horizontally over your solar plexus, just below the xiphoid process. The upper hand applies gentle pressure toward the spine as you whisper a long exhale, a nearly silent sound that gently vibrates your vocal cords. The lower hand remains receptive, simply sensing the expansion that occurs as the pericardium relaxes and the diaphragm returns to its natural rhythm. This combination releases the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th bridges, allowing your breath to drop into your abdomen without conscious effort. The third micro-movement restores the core to pelvis connection. Place one hand over your navel and the other over the bony prominence of the iliac crest, the bone you can feel on the side of your pelvis. Take a deep breath and observe which hand moves first as you inhale. If the upper hand leads the movement, this indicates that the lower bridges are still held in a defensive pattern. Continue breathing until the lower hand begins to move. First, a sign that the psoas is releasing its protective tension and returning respiratory control to the pelvic diaphragm. This process releases the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th bridges, restoring your gravitational grounding. Perform the 3 micro movements in sequence, holding each one for 3 full breaths. The entire protocol takes between 2 and 4 minutes, but the effects are noticeable from the very first micro movement. Your jaw softens, your chest expands naturally, and your sit bones settle with the real weight of your body. This is not a relaxation technique. It is a neurofascial reprogramming that communicates safety to your nervous system, allowing it to willingly let go of defensive patterns that no longer serve your current survival. Releasing the bridges creates a window of neurofascial reorganization that needs to be stabilized to prevent the nervous system from automatically reverting to old defensive patterns. For the next 2 hours, your fascial tissue will remain in a state of heightened plasticity, a critical period where new patterns can become established, or ancestral tension can return if the right inputs are not provided. The first stabilization strategy is cellular hydration. Sip warm water every 15 minutes, allowing each sip to stay in your mouth for a few seconds before swallowing. This practice not only hydrates the fascial tissue, but also keeps the neural connection between the digestive system and the ventral vagal complex active. The second strategy involves gentle gravitational movement. Walk slowly for 5 to 10 minutes, paying close attention to how your calves support you, what the ancients called the second heart of circulation. With each step, allow the full weight of your body to transfer completely to the supporting foot before initiating the next movement. This kind of mindful walking consolidates the opening of the pelvic bridges and prevents them from closing due to a lack of proper gravitational stimulation. Avoid sudden movements, intense exercise, or emotionally stressful situations during this integration period. Your nervous system is reorganizing fundamental circuits and needs a stable environment to complete the process. The third strategy is somatic rechecking. Every hour for the next 6 hours, repeat the 3 micro movements from the protocol, but this time for just 1 breath each. You will notice that the tissue responds differently, more quickly, more fluidly, with less initial resistance. This is confirmation that the bridges are learning how to remain open voluntarily. At night, it is common to experience more vivid dreams or unusual bodily sensations, signs that your nervous system is processing and integrating these changes. At deep levels of bodily awareness, establish a return ritual for future moments of stress. When you feel the bridges starting to close again, your jaw tightening, breath shortening, pelvis losing weight, immediately perform the first jaw micro movement, followed by 3 deep breaths. This anchor gesture works as a somatic reminder that quickly reactivates the neurofascial memory of openness, preventing you from fully returning to old defensive patterns. With consistent practice, this release protocol becomes a permanent internal resource, a neurofascial key you carry in your own body, giving you access to presence and grounding whenever needed. At 49 years old, Grace discovered her neurofascial bridges during a work meeting where her voice simply disappeared. Not from nerves or embarrassment, but because decades of jaw restraint had finally collapsed her ability to sustain embodied sound. She could move her lips, form words in her mind, but no vibration came from her throat, as if a vital cable had been unplugged between her intention and her expression. For months, Grace visited doctors who found her vocal cords perfectly healthy, but none of them looked into the extreme rigidity in her masseter, or the way her sit bones never actually touched the chair. The first time Grace applied the 3 micro movements of the 11 neurofascial bridges, she was sitting in her car in the office parking lot. 3 minutes after performing the bimanual jaw touch, the gentle pressure on the sternum, and the core to pelvis reorganization, she experienced something she hadn't felt in years. Her voice emerged spontaneously as an audible sigh, filled with substance and presence. It wasn't just that the sound returned, her breath dropped all the way to her pelvis for the first time in decades, and she felt her sit bones settle into the car seat with a weight that felt unfamiliar, as if she were discovering gravity after half a century of floating in chronic tension. In the following weeks, Grace noticed changes that went far beyond vocal recovery. Her decisions became quicker and more precise. Her posture aligned effortlessly, and she began to take up physical space differently, walking with steps that truly transferred weight instead of floating tensely above the ground. Her colleagues commented that she seemed more present in meetings, but Grace knew the change ran deeper. For the first time in her adult life, she was fully inhabiting her own body. What Grace experienced now needs to be sealed into your own body through verifiable somatic markers that confirm the opening of your neurofascial bridges. The first marker is respiratory. Your breath now naturally reaches the pelvic region without conscious effort. You feel the diaphragm actually moving downward, expanding the abdomen instead of simply lifting the chest. The second marker is mandibular. Your temporomandibular joint remains relaxed even when you are focused, and you are able to maintain a small space between your back teeth without muscular tension. Now create a signal gesture that anchors this new state. Place your index finger gently at the center of your sternum while allowing your jaw to open slightly, just enough to feel the softening of the masseter muscle. Hold this position for 3 breaths, simultaneously sensing the expansion of your chest and the settling of your pelvis. This gesture works as an access key that you can repeat in 30 seconds anytime. You need to return to the open state of the neurofascial bridges. Establish your return point for moments of tension. When you feel the bridges beginning to close again, mentally whisper, "My breath sinks, my voice grounds." My body settles as you perform the signal gesture and allow your sit bones to find real gravitational support. This triad phrase, breath and posture, becomes your personal somatic ritual that prevents an automatic return to old defensive patterns. When you release the neurofascial bridges where inherited trauma is held, something far greater happens beyond individual relief. You interrupt a transgenerational cycle that has likely repeated for decades, maybe even centuries. Every conscious release you perform today breaks automatic patterns that would otherwise settle into the next generations. Your relaxed jaw today means your words will emerge with embodied substance. Your breath, now reaching down into your pelvis, means your presence will take up the real space you deserve to inhabit. Your body, finally grounded, means you will no longer float in chronic vigilance. You will be able to trust the gravitational force that has always been there to support you. This is not just a somatic technique, it is an act of ancestral rebellion. You are consciously choosing to untie knots that previous generations could not name or release. You are giving your nervous system back its permission to relax, to trust, to fully inhabit the density and vulnerability of having a physical body. The poet Rainer Maria Rilke once wrote, "The future enters into us in order to transform itself in us." Long before it happens, and now, you've discovered that you can transform not only your future, but rewrite the past that lives, trapped, within your fascial fibers. There is a silent revolution taking place every time you reclaim conscious control over the bridges that connect your expression to your vital force. You no longer have to choose between feeling and thinking, between expressing and protecting, between being present and being safe. You simply inhabit whole, integrated, grounded in the strength that has always been yours by right. This is the moment you realize you were never too fragile to handle life. You were simply carrying traumas that were never yours, across bridges you didn't yet know how to open. Now you do. And when the body finally breathes in its entirety, the soul finds its true size. If this experience with the 11 bridges resonated with you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. This helps us share this knowledge with more people who carry inherited trauma in their own tissues. I want to know how you felt the transformation in your body after applying the micro movements. Write in the comments, I dissolve the hidden links of trauma and release my 11 neurofascial bridges. This affirmation helps seal the somatic reprogramming you've just initiated. Share this video with someone you know needs to reconnect with their own vital force through the body.